Hey there, I'm Kay, and I want to thank you for joining me for today's budgeting video. I'm going to be going through the setup routine of my monthly budget, so I'll be sharing with you guys how I set up my calendar with my fixed expenses, and then go over my estimated monthly budget with my estimated income and expenses. So why don't we go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up my new planner here, and I did unveil this planner in my 2022 debt payoff plan video, and I did mention that I hate that there's no storage in here. So I did make some temporary storage. I just makeshifted a little folder out of some paper I had, and these are stickers that I made that I'm going to be using for my setup. So I'm going to open to the monthly calendar. I like to work on a 2-page spread because it's just a little more spaced out, and it does hold a lot of information on here usually with my spending. So this is, I did already pre-date it and pre-decorate it, and I did add my 3 paydays that I'll be using. But other than that, I do need to add all of my fixed expenses on here and categorize my variable spending by color. So we're going to go ahead and do that first. So far, new year, same expenses. So if you've been following me for at least a couple months, you will know that these fixed expenses of mine are really regular and they haven't really changed much, if anything. So first I have Spotify, which is $5 a month. And then I have my phone bill through Sprint, which is $54 a month. Next, I have my car insurance, which is through Safeco, and that is $133. And I like to call these my S bills. I then have tuition that I have to pay to UMass Lowell. That's $50 a month. And then I have an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription with the student discount that is $30 a month. And then finally, I have my rent and utilities, which I do consider a fixed expense because I have a fixed due date. The amount is variable from month to month because of the utility factor. So I don't fill in the dollar amount until after the end of the month. So I'm going to go ahead and add these on. So Spotify is always due on the 1st. And then Sprint's due usually on the 9th or the 10th. I'll put on the 10th. And then Safeco's on the 13th. UMass Lowell's on the 15th. And then Adobe, usually the 26th, but if that falls on like a weekend, sometimes it'll process early or late, but I always make sure I have the money in my account for that. And then rent's due on the 1st, and I like to pay it a couple days before it's due, so I'll probably pay it on like the 29th. So that's all my fixed expenses. Now I'm going to categorize my variable categories by color. So I'm going to use this gray color for food. And then I made like 3 different shades of yellow. I hope you can tell the difference between them because I can, and in my viewfinder it looks like it's noticeable. But if you're colorblind, I'm so sorry. These are different color sets here. So I think mid-tone yellow will be for gas. And then the darker, more mustardy yellow will be for allowance. And then this pale yellow will be for pet. And then my other variable category, which is actually cash only, is my laundry. So I do take out a fixed amount usually for that, so I'll end up adding that in the box here. So those are my categories, and now I have a little key for everyone. Food, gas, allowance, and pet. All right. It's okay that they're crooked because the machine cut them crooked anyway, so I'm not even mad that I put them on crooked. It doesn't need to be pretty as long as it's functional. The pretty is just, you know, the extra thing here. I have cat hair all over my desk and now it's getting all over my stuff. So that's the monthly setup. I'm all set with that. It's time to work on the numbers here. So I did something different with my monthly budget because I am working with multiple paychecks. I wanted to try splitting it up on multiple pages. So when I go back and do my monthly closeout, I can actually compare the paychecks with the estimated amount up front. So this is going to be a little different than how I've done my monthly budgets, but we'll see how it works out. So income, I have a lot going on here in this category. My first source is going to be from my day job, and I am working with 3 paychecks coming in for January, but I'm only going to be using half or approximately half of the third one. So right now I'm in my low income period. Each paycheck is usually between $800 and $900 depending on my hours. So 2 paychecks would be $1,700 to $1,800. If I'm taking in half of the third one, it's probably going to put me around $2,200. So I'm going to estimate $2,200 in work income. And then I am going to be taking in my bills checking account. Now, this account I started last year because I had a financial goal of being a month ahead on my finances, and I was going to be putting money in that account to like pay up front and then like restore it in the back end. And I'm at the point now, a whole year later, where I'm trying to simplify things as much as possible. So I have like a little over $700 saved in that account that I'm going to take out because I did set a very large goal of taking out completely my Nelnet F loan that I still have a little bit on. So let me add that in here. Probably going to be bouncing around because it's on 2 sheets now, but Nelnet F, I need $867 to pay that off. So that's a good portion of that going to be coming from my bills checking without completely interrupting my income flow, just in case expenses get kind of wild. The other thing too is that I'm going to be taking in some cash because I have a few dollars left over from Christmas, and also I was temporarily doing in-home services for a couple weeks for the company I work for, just to get out of the store for a little bit. And I made tips, and I made a lot of money in tips. People were very generous, even when we couldn't help them. I think it could have just been because it was the holidays, but people were very, very kind. So for Christmas, I had $8 left over, so at least I was still under the budget on that, although just barely. And then the rest is all tips. So I want to say it was 123. So I have 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 110, 123. Yeah. So I have $123 of cash. So I'm going to take in, and I'm probably just going to put that straight into sinking funds just to save it. So let me just tuck this away for now. So I have $123, and that's it. That's all the income I'm going to be taking in for this month. I do have some Etsy income, but I think I'm going to put that in February's budget because February is a short month and I don't want it to run too tight. So I'm going to leave this as is. So we have 2,200 plus 715 plus 123 is 3038. So that's my estimated income, and fixed expenses are all of those expenses that I just put on my calendar there. So Spotify, Sprint, Safeco, UMass Lowell, Adobe, and rent. So Spotify is 5, Sprint is 54, Safeco is 133, UMass is 50, Adobe is 30, rent. I've been really safe at a $900 estimate, so I'm gonna go for a $900 estimate again, and I just gotta total these up. So that comes out to $1172. So there's my estimated fixed expenses. The part that I'm not so excited about, my variable expenses. I did do a trial run of an anti-budget for December where I didn't categorize my variable spending. I just spent in a lump sum to try and contain myself within a certain amount. But I'm going to be going back to my expense categories and category tracking. So my categories are, I have allowance that I give myself, and then I have food, which includes both groceries and eating out combined, and then I have gas for my car, and then my laundry, which again is cash, and then I have my pet variable spending. So I'm gonna cut my allowance down because I just did tons of spending for the holiday. There's not really anything that I can think that I want or need right now in particular. So I'm gonna leave that at 60, and then I'm gonna bounce around here. Laundry is pretty much like a steady $40 a month, so let me add that. Gas is weird because my schedule can change, but it's fairly local. And I haven't really been spending that much on gas recently. I'm gonna go with 60 to be on the safe side. Pet I can leave pretty low because I still have a lot of food left for him when I did that huge food stockpile towards the end of I want to say it was October. So pet I can keep low at around like $40. It's good to get like litter and some other things I might need. Food is the tricky one. Food, I have been trying to stay around 300 or 325, and it's just so hard. I spent so much money on food in December too. So I'm actually going to increase it, and I'm going to try to stay within 350. And I'm thinking that looks fairly safe. All right, so let's go ahead and add these up. So that's 550. You know, I could have done that in my head. Now I'm looking at it. 60 plus 40 is 100, and 60 plus 40 is 100. So yeah, it's 550. I haven't been trusting my brain processing, pretty much just because, like, I still don't even know if I have COVID, as I'm still waiting on my COVID test. I'm still in quarantine, so I don't want to call it COVID brain, but I feel like it is. Let me just do some quick maths. So I have 38 minus 1172 minus 550 would be 1316. but then we're going to take out the $867 is $449. Let me put in my sinking funds and stuff first. So I have my new camera sinking fund, and then I have car maintenance. I'm just going to add all of them. I have car registration, but that's full, so I don't need to worry about that. And then I have my home fund, my medical fund, and then personal. Personal, I've actually been thinking about separating into 2 different categories, 2 or 3 of them. Separating it into like clothing, beauty, and like miscellaneous. But my binder is pretty thick, so I'm not sure that I want to be putting, 2 extra envelopes in there for now. It's just a thought, so I'd be curious to know what you think. That's basically what my personal spending is used for anyway. When I am spending outside of my allowance, like if I've used up my allowance, I might tap into my personal. And then I do have my school sinking fund, which I don't really talk about. That I'm not putting any money in either. Money will be going in that when I get my tuition reimbursement, which will probably hit in February. I know it's got approved, so I know I'm going to get it. I'm just waiting on it. I have a vet sinking fund, and then I do have my emergency fund, but that's in the bank, but I'm going to add it. So I did reformulate my sheets, and I did have a space for sinking funds and then a space for other savings, and I just decided to combine them, make the space a little bigger. So that way it's a little more generic. So that's all my savings accounts, cash or not. I definitely want to make sure that this cash gets into the sinking fund. So what was it? It was $123. I'm going to prioritize a little bit because I also have to think about the denominations I have too. I think my 3 main ones that I want to stuff, camera, car maintenance, and medical, are kind of like the big savings for me this year. I really want to save in medical so that I can get some stuff addressed that I know is going to be kind of expensive. So I think in those, so I have 123, so 30, and then another 30, 60. That puts me at 90. So I have $33 left between I'm not going to put in my emergency fund. So I have $33 between 3 funds, so I should just give them all $11 because I have the 3 ones to do that, so I can totally do that. So I know that that's 123, right? 123 plus 867 plus 550 plus 1172, and then 3038 minus the sum of those leaves 326. So after all of these are addressed, everything I really wanted addressed is addressed, I still have $326 to play with. That is pretty much like the extra half a paycheck that I'm absorbing. So why don't I get ahead on my debt payoff while there's still no interest? So we'll throw some at Nelnet B. Why don't I throw the 226 at Nelnet B, and I'll tuck 100 in the emergency fund. So that gets literally everyone gets a piece of the pie here. And I'm just gonna double check. I do think that that's gonna be enough for everything here. So yeah, I'm gonna commit to that. So I have actually 223 here. And then I have 867 plus 226. is 1093. So I am planning to put a little over a third of this income towards the debt, which is why I am taking in that bills checking and that half of the third paycheck. Again, these are estimated numbers. These aren't going to be guaranteed, but it is to give me a, workable game plan, make sure that I have, my goals established for the month, making sure that I have at least a blueprint, if anything, on how I want to proceed. I'm not used to having the little planner on my desk. It looks weird. I have to make sure it's in frame. I gotta get that good thumbnail. I don't think I've ever put in the video how I set my thumbnails and stuff, but I'll leave this in for funsies for those who watch. Now, see, now that looks too cluttered. Thumbnail aside, I do believe I got a pretty good plan going on here. I'm pretty confident going into the first month of the new year, and I'd like to thank you for sticking with me to the end of the video. So thank you for watching. You're the best. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, you should totally do so down below because it's free and it really, really helps me out. And I am determined to hit my 1,000 subscribers and get monetized this year. But I obviously can't do that without your guys' support. So I really, really appreciate you following me on my journey that way. You can also keep up with me. I'm on Instagram. My handle is kbudgetplans. And I do post more general planning content on there, as well as sometimes I'll post sneak peeks of when I'm filming, like right now. And anyways, I hope to see you in the next video. Peace out.